Welcome to Thrive with the best of the best in the Southeast region. It looks like we'll give everybody another couple minutes to log on. We're so quiet right now. I know that's not going
we
to
could
be the
talk
case
about
in
college football or something, but we'll leave it there.
All right, we've got a good afternoon from Savannah. Savannah, we're glad you're in the house today. I think we're going to have folks from all around the region, and that's awesome. We're so glad you're all joining. Yep. So good. Yeah, no, we aren't going to talk about college football. Well, we can. Josh made a comment in an email earlier. Go ahead and say it, Josh. I'm a good sport. Something about the most fantastic college football program
of all time. Yeah.
We root for different teams, and I will say it was pretty impressive what your LSU Tigers did last year. Pretty doggone impressive.
It was fun to watch.
Yes, I know. And I have other friends that are LSU folks, and they all enjoyed it. So good deal.
I was fully prepared for you to be showing up here in all kinds of
all
stuff,
purple and gold.
I'm glad you took the high road.
My colors are almost more UT Vols, and it's like I don't know how that happened, but
well, you do live in Tennessee.
I know. I grew up being a Tennessee fan. My dad played football at Tennessee.
Did he really? I didn't realize that.
And then I ended up as an LSU alumni.
Well, if you guys are logging in early, let us know in the chat where you're coming in from.
Yes, we've got about another minute till we get rolling, and I see people from Lenoir City, Savannah,
Columbus,
Nashville, Murfreesboro. Yeah.
Nashville. Oh, Lord. Now I can't read that fast.
Knoxville,
thank you for being here.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Odom, Georgia. Noonan. All right. Well, Cheryl, I got 3:30 Eastern.
Well, I say let's get this show on the road, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our very first Thrive with the best of the best for the Southeast region. And this is going to be a weekly Wednesday afternoon at 3:30 event for the foreseeable future. We aren't sure how long we're going to continue with our Thrive sessions, but our goal is to do this to provide all of you with practical solutions to thrive in your real estate business during these very unusual times. And we're going to do that by bringing you some of our top producers the Southeast region who are currently thriving in the conditions that we're living in today. And they're going to share some of their wisdom and knowledge and successes with you so you too can thrive and move forward as we move out of this shift and into whatever next looks like for us. By the way, I'm Cheryl Sidoti. I'm the Regional Director of your award-winning Southeast region. And as my co-hosts today, we have Brett Caldwell, our Executive Leadership Director, and we're Brett, hi.
Yeah, hey Cheryl, so happy to be here.
Good, and we're really happy and pleased to welcome from Atlanta, Lesley Peters.
Hey everyone.
And from Nashville, Josh Anderson.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome, Josh. Thank you. To get the ball rolling, we're going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves and tell us a little about your business and yourself and where you are and whatever you want to say about your business. And let's go ladies first. Take it away, Lesley.
So I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. My husband and I actually run a real estate team, the Peters Company, together. And I've been in the business 14 years and we have 15 team members. And last year we sold around 230 units. And we are all in to meet our goals for this year. So whatever it takes, we're all in. In fact, I laughed. One of our coaches this week said, I'm working half days. And he said 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I was like, yes, I'm working half days too. So yeah, thanks for having me, Cheryl. I'm glad to be here. Brett, you too.
Before we flip over to Josh, let me ask you this. Your family and your team members, is everybody safe and healthy?
Everyone is safe and healthy and making the best out of this situation.
That's great. That's great. Josh, tell us about the Anderson group up there in Vegas.
Yeah, so I'm like Lesley, I've been in the business for 14 years. April 1st was the start of my 14th year. So I got in April of 2006. We did 234 transactions last year in 2019. That was about 104 million in volume and right under 3 million in GCI. And we have about 15 agents or 15 team members. It's about half and half admin and agents. Yeah, it's an awesome, I think our market is still strong and it's still moving, but it's definitely an interesting time and all the family's good. It's definitely testing us as parents. It's been awesome.
What do you mean by that, Josh?
I am not built to be a stay-at-home dad. I can tell you that. I am just not built for it. And it's been awesome. It's given us an opportunity. We don't have any sports going on, obviously, so we're going to the farm every weekend and just hanging out at the river, and so it's been fun. Yeah.
Very good, very good. And your team members are all healthy as well.
Everybody's healthy and good, and we're just cranking along and trying to help people in our database.
That's great. Brett?
Yeah, so what a blessing to hear all that. Okay, guys, let's dive in. So about mid-March, I think I looked on my calendar, the last social event I went to was like March 11th. So the market got disrupted mid-March. What kind of success have you guys had since the disruption? I mean, is business still going on?
Yeah,
take it away.
Take it away, Josh.
I'll grab that one. I think for us, I don't think we've really seen the real true effects of it just yet. I know in some markets, they're already having lots of fallout and things, but we haven't really had any. I mean, we've had to talk some people off the ledge and things, but I think for the most part, our March and April were really great. And I think what a lot of agents aren't realizing is I think May and June are going to be the really telling months of what's going to, how it's really going to play out. And for us, we're definitely, Gary's been saying it for years, and I feel like I follow the model at a really high level. I think it's really just doubling down on lead generation and really loving on your database and talking to your database. Even if it's just, for me, it's not scripts as much as it is truly just being kind of a human and checking in with people and just saying, how are you doing? We don't really know all the people in our database right now that have lost jobs or been furloughed. And so we're calling through and just checking and, doing a lot of things. Even if it's, it's phone calls, it's script. It's text messages, it's Facebook messages, it's contests and giveaways. It's just being in front of people and seeing how we can be a resource.
So just to kind of get back to a little bit here. So you're having success. You're writing contracts. You're taking listings.
We're still really busy. Our market's partly busy work busy. There's a lot of questions of what's going on with feedback and showings. It's either super accelerated or it's completely dead. And it's not, I don't think it's price point driven as much as it's maybe kind of demographic of who's getting out and looking at properties type of thing.
Yeah. So just kind of summarize, business is still happening. You're having to coach people through some consumer confidence kind of conversations, but ultimately business still happening. What about you, Lesley?
Yeah, it was interesting. We bound 24 deals in March after March 12th. From March 12th to March 31st, we bound 24 transactions. We actually listed 14 towards the end of March in about a 2-week time period, and 13 out of 14 of those homes sold with multiple offers, and we got around 102% of original list price on average. So, our listing inventory has been moving. We still only have one of those left and I think it was price, right? In Atlanta, we're watching things a little differently because we are seeing luxury being impacted. Yet everything under 500 for us is still just hotcakes. This past week, we bound 4 listings. So we bound 4 transactions, and that's about half of what we would normally do, but we're still binding them. We bound 2 this week. We think we'll finish the week about 5. And I think it's just about finding the motivated and making sure that your agents are really engaged. And more than anything, it's every single morning waking up and being on a call with our team and hearing wins and plans. And it's not a snow day. I've laughed and told them that, like, this is no snow day. Like, we will always have motivated buyers and sellers. And it is our job to tell them the real story, because they're watching the news. They're living in fear, right?
Yeah.
And so it's our job to say, look, homes are still selling. And yesterday, actually, our listing agent called a seller that didn't want to list until May, and he's just working through the pipeline. And he called them and he told them about our success in the last few weeks. And he said, you know what, let's go ahead and put it on the market next week. So, I mean, we're really telling people, like, if you've been wanting to sell, why wait? We know that the market right now is really strong and there are motivated buyers. So why would you wait? And we don't know what it's going to look like on the other side.
Perfect.
So let's get it on the market now.
And
I
Lesley,
love this. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say the one of the things that I've been telling the team as well as our sellers. So it's Wednesday and I've had 3 listing appointments so far this week. And, you know, very similar to your business, Lesley, we're still binding. I mean, we're still going on under contract on a lot of different properties. So, you know, I think the big piece for the people that don't actually want to go on the market, we're still working to get things signed and putting it on MLS as a coming soon, so it doesn't rack up days, and it allows agents to still see it on there and know that it's potential inventory and make it a case-by-case basis if they really don't want people in their house. But we really haven't had a whole lot of like pushback. I mean, some of our clients have just like moved and said, hey, the house is completely open. You get to do whatever you want. We've been doing lots of virtual open houses just so people can see it, that it's out there, and putting it on social media. And so there's ways around it. I guess I haven't really had a whole lot of conversation with anybody that can give me a good reason why not to put it on the market right now. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, okay, you don't want anybody in your house. Nobody's given me any real pushback. And I know that's something that people are going to hear that are listening to this call, and I know it's going to happen, but we haven't had any issues with it yet.
Well, I think the perspective is important for whoever's listening out there. Is somebody's going to sell a house today. Somebody's going to list a house today. It should be you, right?
Yeah.
And it just gives us that perspective that while we're going through a pandemic or a shift or whatever word you want to insert here, business is happening, and you guys are proof of that. Cheryl, where do you want to go with this conversation?
Well, I think thanks, Brett.
Yeah.
Well, I think another thing
we keep hearing the term the new norm. Go ahead, Josh, go.
Well, I was just going to say, if you guys look in all of your MLSs, there's still a lot of properties that are going on the market every day. And there's a lot of property. When I go into I did this back on the, I think it was the 23rd of March. I did this. And there were so many properties that went on the market, and there were so many properties in our MLS that went under contract. It was like, for our whole MLS, it was like 468 properties went under contract in a 24-hour period. And like another 223 were listed. So like, even if those are builder, new construction stuff, there's still a lot of stuff that's out there going on the market. So you can make the excuse and be fearful, or you can just go in and like, somebody's going to list it. Why isn't it you?
Exactly. I love that.
I love that. I do too. So with the thought of the new norm, what are you doing to adjust your business? What are you doing different right now? And you alluded to this, Josh, but open houses and showings and listings, are you going to the properties, or are you doing them other ways? And if you're doing them other ways, how do you do that, Lesley?
Yeah, so we went to virtual open houses really quickly because we knew that we had to capture buyers. And so we literally took our iPhone out to a property and I just walked them through it like it was a real open house and it was a real live client. And one thing we found is we posted those immediately, obviously on social media, yet we had a lot of success early on by reverse prospecting those. So actually sending those videos to agents that have buyers in our area or in the area and price range that our listings are in. And we actually put one under contract through that reverse prospecting just of the video. And so I think it gives your sellers a lot of confidence when you do that because it just shows them that you're going the extra mile, you're thinking outside of the box, and you may be actually creating a more safe environment for them because some buyers are going to see something in the video that makes them go, not my house. And then that's one less person through. So I think virtual open houses are huge. One thing we really went to quickly too, and I think it's an agent by agent basis, is virtual consultations. And some of our agents were just thrilled at the chance to have a consultation and just jumped right in on Zoom and failed forward and did virtual consultations. Some were a little more perfectionistic and kind of held back, right? It's weird doing this, right? And what we found is the ones that just jumped in, they're actually doing great. They're keeping their consults every week, their numbers up, and they're getting buyer agreements and listing agreements signed off of those virtual consultations. And when I've tracked over the past few weeks, actually our signed agreement ratio is up. Because think about it, it's the motivated people that are willing to Zoom with you and do a virtual consultation. Like those are the real people that want to buy and sell. So it's really, I think we're running like 85-90% on signed agreements right now, just from virtual consultations.
Okay. So
That's
Lesley,
really high. Yes.
one of the questions in the chat was, what does a listing presentation look like right now?
Yeah. So, yes. What does it look like? So for the most part, our virtual consultations are on Zoom, and we're sharing the screen with our listing presentation book that we actually have on our website as well, that they can have a link to afterwards. But it's some page app that basically allows our agent to click and it looks like an actual page is turning, and then they're FaceTiming through the house. So they're basically just taking their iPhone and FaceTiming our agent and walking them through the house after the Zoom consultation. So that's one way our listing agents have been doing it. We've had a lot of discussion because we have a lot of high eyes on our team. So agents that just love people, and they're really struggling, I think, because they don't have that warm and fuzzy connection. So we've been really brainstorming on it as a team on how can you create that connection even in this type of environment, right? And we've got to really work hard on that because it's a little bit more difficult to create a emotional connection when it's not in person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Josh?
Yeah, so we've been doing, last year we sold 7 or 8 houses, which isn't a huge percentage of our numbers, but we sold 7 or 8 houses last year as from FaceTime. And so we've done, for years we've been doing FaceTime consults with people that are out of town that are going to be coming in. So it wasn't really a huge shift for us. The Zoom piece might probably a little bit more on the listing side. Overall, we haven't done a whole lot different. Some of the things that we have done, we've been doing more videos of like, what can you get for $1 million in 12 South? What can you get for $500,000 in X neighborhood? And just having it to where that lives forever between our social media and our YouTube. And, I think people want to see some of that stuff if everything got shut down. So we've gone to some of the new construction places and said, here's one of 12 models or one of 12, floor plans that they have. And here's the price range. So we've got different things we've been doing with video. Most of what we're doing, similar to Lesley, like we're doing just a lot more Zoom and FaceTime. And I think that it proves that the technology piece is going to make us more efficient. And I think you just got to get comfortable with it. I went to a listing appointment in person today. I just gave the guy an elbow bump, and it was like, seriously, I mean, the rest of them have been, a lot of them have been, some of the ways we're shifting, I guess, and we can talk about this more in a minute, is like, I've got some of my investor clients that are just dumping everything because they want cash on hand. We've really shifted to like working with Airbnb because it's a big thing in Nashville. And I think over the next 3 or 4 months, those people are probably, some of them are going to have to sell. Out of state owner list, we're kind of digging into those. Like, there's a lot of opportunities, and Lesley nailed it earlier. Think about the people. Stop spending all the time and energy on the people that are wishy-washy. It's like, think about the people that have to sell. It's debt, death, divorce. Go network with divorce attorneys or probate attorneys or all these people that, there's going to be a lot of people that still have to sell. And I've got a listing right now. The guy's moving to Austin. He's got to sell. It's not a want-to situation.
Yep.
Couple of questions here.
Yeah.
How are you handling sellers saying, well, I would sell if you had someone, but I don't want to go through the market right now with the COVID virus. But if you know someone, I will surely let them in. What's your conversation with them?
So it's a little bit of the same conversation that for us anyway, that I mentioned earlier, is like the idea that more eyeballs are going to see it on MLS, even if it's not, on the market active, and in lieu of that, it's in a coming soon status. I think it's really hard. We do have a really big list of people, agents that have properties that are coming soon. So we keep that list running, but we're just having the conversation of like, hey, we need as many eyeballs to see it as possible. And the only way that's going to happen is on the multiple listing serve.
Yeah. I think it's also important to point out, if they're looking at your house today, they're serious.
Yeah.
The looky-loos are out of the market, right?
Yeah, they aren't out just riding around looking at real estate like they do sometimes. There's also a request, Lesley, from you about your virtual listing information. So if you have anything that you can send to us at Region, we can pass it on to people.
Sounds good. I'll find out what program that is that you're using for the listing book. I can't remember.
I know of one called Flipbook. So
that's what it is,
like
Brett.
It's
Brett,
called
that's
Flipbook.
it.
Okay, so there you go, Stephen, who asked that. It's called Flipbook.
All right, so let's move on, Cheryl. So I'm hearing Gary Keller talk about agents that have foresight are going to win right now. And foresight to me means agents that are planning today for what's going to happen in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? Not just sitting in a frozen state trying to react to what's right before them, but they're planning forward. How is foresight really directing y'all's business right now?
I think the big piece is like, we've been talking about it forever. This is, to me, it's pretty simple. I know people have a hard time wrapping their head around it. Foresight, to me, like the first thing I thought about was just get back to the basics and the fundamentals of not just real estate, but just business. Go love on your database. Go let them know that you actually care. Go add value to them. We've got a nonprofit that we set up in 2015, and we're doing a lot through that right now. We did a lot with it through the tornado, and it's just getting back to that piece of it and really having real conversations. And I think that's a big piece of the foresight, is like, focus on your database, focus on the people who have to sell, and go add value. Like, they're going to sell with somebody. Make it you. And I know that's not like a big, like some crazy insightful thing, but it's really just the basics.
Yeah. Lesley?
Yeah. And I mean, Josh, tagging onto that is, right now, agents are going to stop working. They're just going to stop. I mean, there are people that are just really taking snow days. So the people that stay in touch with their database and continue marketing to them, they're going to come out of this just like we did back in 2013. We looked up and we had come out of the shift and we'd continued marketing, we'd continue lead generating, and we had our biggest year ever in 2013 coming out of a horrible decline. So we've got to be the person they remember. When we talk about adding value, one of my favorite quotes that Gary ever said was, stop marketing and start serving your people. And you are not going to change anyone's mind about how they feel about COVID, right? You're not going to,
Nope.
if they don't want to list their house, you're not going to change their mind. And so how can we just add value, right? I feel like so many phone calls I've had, Brett, have been about people just in fear that this is going to be 2008, 2009, 2010 all over again.
Yeah.
So how can we make them feel better about our current market? And so keeping current matters, actually, I don't know how many of you follow that, Josh, you might, but keeping current matters came out with like 5 reasons that the 2020 crisis is nothing like 2008.
I saw that.
Did you see it? It was
Yeah.
amazing.
That's really good.
We shared it with all of our agents and all 3 of our market centers. And then I had this aha one night. I'm like, why are we sharing it with our agents? Like, we need to share this with our people in our database. Like, this is their biggest fear. If they lost a job in the downturn, or if they had their house taken away, like, we've got to be a voice of reason. So I filmed like a PowerPoint, 8 minutes, and we shared it with our entire database, why 2020 is not like 2008. And I mean, I just think we have to think differently.
Yep.
We have to know our numbers. And I think right now it would be easy to say, you know what, I'm just going to coast. I'm not going to watch my numbers every day because nothing's happening, yet things are happening. So we're still watching our revenue every single day. I have our director of operations send me our revenue numbers for every month. Every single day, I have our director of marketing send me the leads that came in that day and what the deficit is for the month. We're watching pendings, we're watching appointments. So I think the agents that know their numbers and the agents that are consistently lead generating are the ones that are going to survive through this and thrive.
We were laughing before you jumped on, Lesley, about, I guess we can't go sit by the pool every day anymore, right?
Yeah,
Josh?
there's plenty of people that are and one of the things that my business coach said to me, I actually wrote it down behind me on a call last week. He put, most people aren't call reluctant, they're value deficient, meaning that they don't really know what to say when they get on the call. And I even get that from my agents, like, okay, we've called through all of our, current and past clients in the last 30 days. Now what? And it's like, well, just keep calling them. What about all the people on your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Instagram? Like, just go reconnect and see how you can help. The conversation of real estate is going to come up. It's just going to come up because they're going to go, well, what's up with you? What's up with the market? What are you seeing? Like, it's that conversation by default will happen. And so I think people just need to get out and check on their people.
Yeah.
And Josh, I think that's the value for our team has always been events. And I think you guys are kind of the same way, but we had to cancel our Easter egg hunt, which I love. I mean, 250 people. We had to cancel that. And then we had to turn around and cancel our Kentucky Derby party, which I love. And that's 6 touches because we're mailing, we're emailing, and we're actually personally calling and inviting every single person in our database. And that's always an easy call, right? And so how do we replace that with our agents? Because they don't have anything to invite them to. So that's been our strategy.
But you did do something. I know you did something to replace your Easter egg hunt. It wasn't quite the same thing, but you touched your people that would have come to that in a different way. Lesley, talk about that just a second.
Yeah, so we had already stuffed 3,000 Easter eggs for our Easter egg hunt. And I mean, you talk about time consuming, like that is so time consuming. And we were thinking about, they're filled with candy. Like, this candy is not going to hold up till next year. So what can we do with these eggs? And so I told all of our team members, I said, I want you to go through your database and I want you to pick the past clients and referral sources that are VIPs that have small children. And we're going to compile a list and we're going to deliver these over the next week to these families. So my little girl and I spent 2 days in the office stuffing 138 bags, and our amazing agents delivered them all across Atlanta. And the feedback has been unbelievable. I mean, one person said, you guys are so amazing. And it's not because you sell so much real estate. It's because how much you care. Like she said, literally, she said, these eggs showed up at my door and there were like tears in my eyes. Like, you guys are community. And
Awesome.
you're showing that even through this time. And people are not going to forget that. So whatever you can do, and that was one of the ways that we actually said, okay, if we can't call and bring value by inviting them, what can we do? And so I think it's just little things.
And
I
so
thought that was very clever. We've got a couple of questions.
Yeah.
One person asked about how to find reverse prospects from agents. Can you?
So ours is through our MLS. So I'm not sure, Josh, does your MLS do that?
I don't understand what you mean.
So we can basically go in the back door of our MLS and we can see all agents that have searches set up in the area and price range of our listing.
I don't think so. I don't think we can do that.
Oh, interesting.
But
Okay, sorry, y'all.
So one of the things that we do in lieu of that, we've been sending out, I know emails are easy, but we've been sending out text messages to say the top 2,000 agents in our local MLS for the 4 main counties. And we got an overwhelming response based on like just giving a little bit of a generic idea of what we were looking for. And that was the most efficient way for us to do that. Jumping onto the client events, we have all these client events that we do, and some of them are really, we get amazing attendance, but we've been doing giveaways online. We're doing a reverse bold 100 for Mother's Day. And we decided that we're giving away, so we're doing one for Mother's Day and one for Father's Day. Evidently the Dyson blow dryer is an amazing thing.
You should know that, Josh.
Yeah,
That's what I use every morning.
Me
I can
too,
tell,
Cheryl.
Cheryl. It looks amazing. Amazing. Love it. It goes perfectly with your crimson lipstick.
Roll Tide. Sorry.
Now, it's giving you that opportunity right there.
I love you.
So our reverse bold 100, like we wanted to do an escape day spa all day or some of these other ideas. And we just felt like that wasn't very timely because we weren't sure how that was going to work. So we did, this is a $400 or $500 blow dryer. And then we're going to do one for Father's Day that we're just going to like blow it out and do like total dude, guy, dad, gifts.
Right.
So those things are easy. One of the things that we've been doing, like we're doing for Easter, we're doing a dinner giveaway from a local barbecue place. And those are clients of ours that own these restaurants. And also they are, it's supporting the clients and the people in our world, as well as supporting the business owners. So, and speaking along with that, we've been interviewing a lot of business owners, just like 5 or 7 minutes. Hey, how have you shifted? What are your, have you expanded your hours? Have you cut them back? How can people support you in the community? Really, it's just, it's the same things we've been doing the whole time I've been in real estate. It's just shifting a little bit. Like we usually do those videos in person, and now it's like, hey, what are you offering right now? Is it curbside pickup? Are you doing Uber Eats, Grubhub? Like what does that look like? So we're just trying to think of how to stay in front of people and make it fun and interactive. So that giveaway that we did, we just posted I think we actually posted it today, and it's people to enter to win, they have to post a picture, some sort of Easter family picture. So people are posting funny pictures like from back in the day, and so it's fun.
I love that because I think a lot of people are a little nervous to spend a lot of money on marketing maybe right now. And you're suggesting a whole lot of suggestions that really cost nothing, really.
They don't cost much. And here's the thing, and Mark Willis said this several years ago, and it's always stuck with me. You can cut costs on absolutely everything in your business. You can't cut costs on talent. And I kind of go along with that from a marketing perspective. I think you have to track your dollars 3 to 1 or 4 to 1, however you want to do it. But this isn't the time to give up the important stuff. And to me, the client events and loving on them and adding value, if that costs money, it really doesn't matter. Because I can always go get copy paper cheaper. I can buy it in bulk. I can cut back this or that. You can't cut back on your database unless you're spending stupid money on it anyway.
Yeah.
So.
I just got a great idea from you, Josh.
Oh, goody.
I took notes. So we're all into getting people to download our consumer app, right? I mean, we want people to download our consumer app. What if we did a consumer app giveaway, and for everyone that downloaded our app and our database, we drew a name and on Facebook Live at a certain date. And I mean, that could maybe drive traffic to get that consumer app. I know we're doing a huge push in May. That's going to be our postcard, our email newsletter, everything. And so thank you. You spurred an idea. I love it.
Love it.
Mastermind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our businesses are so similar. It's interesting.
They are. It is.
Yeah.
So I
So
want
it's-
to ask you guys, so go ahead.
Go ahead, Brett.
I was
No,
going
you
to
go.
pivot to a tough question for a second. And you kind of went there already, Josh, but I want to talk about budget and money for a second.
I love talking
So
about that.
here we sit, and what changes have you guys really made around money, either personally or business wise, that you're willing to share? What advice would you give us around budgets and money in that whole conversation?
I think it's something everybody needs to be looking hard at. I'm maybe cheap or frugal or whatever it is. Our business is run pretty lean. We were a little over 46% profit margin last year. And, you know, it's one of those things that I'm willing to spend money on the talent and the employees. And I want to keep them through all of this. And I am going to keep them through all of this. The big piece is like, I've literally gone down my personal and business and literally got rid of everything. So my coach gave me this acronym. It's called CRONC, right? So it's keep, replace, offset, negotiate, or cut. And I have literally gone through everything and done that. So keep, replace, offset, negotiate, or cut. And so the idea behind it is, even if they won't permanently give me a reduction or a discount, I've called AT&T, I've called Uverse, I've called Commissions Inc., I've called literally everybody, and I'm asking for a minimum of a 90-day discount. Ring Central, everybody's, if they're not willing to do it, like for example, Commissions Inc.'s not willing to do it, they're going to get cut.
So what does that conversation
Love
sound
that.
like? 'Cause that it might be a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation for somebody that hadn't had it before.
Well, I mean, these are not people. I mean, there are people that own it, but like for me, it's nothing personal. It's just business. And I'm looking at my bottom line going, do we really need this? Do we need to keep it? Can we replace it with something that's equally as good or an alternative that is less expensive? Do we offset it? And offset it would be, we offset it because, you know, maybe one of our vendors or relationships has something that they can offset it with, or we negotiate it, which is what I've done with everything, or we just cut it all together.
Yeah.
And so we've cut several $1,000s and we're already running really lean. We've cut lots of it. And the
Yeah.
one big thing that we've cut temporarily is Commissions Inc. But I mean, when we are able to get over to Command, that's going to cut several $1,000s a year out of our budget.
Yeah.
I mean, even Ring Central gave us a 25% discount. AT&T Unlimited, like I did that for my iPhone. Like everybody will cut right now, and it's a discussion that everybody needs to be happening. I've got friends and people I know that have Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Netflix. YouTube TV. I'm like, what? How many hours a day do you have to watch TV? Like that's crazy. You just don't need it all. It's just not necessary.
Sure.
And so just run through your credit card and your bank statement of everything you do. And you really need to analyze, do I need this? Because I don't know when this is all going to be done, but it's
Good
going to make us more efficient technology wise, and it's going to make us a better business owners.
Yeah.
And whether it's 10%, 25%, whatever cut somebody gives you, it adds up, and it adds up much quicker than people realize. So $20 here and $100 there, and suddenly you've saved $2,000.
A car payment.
I don't think
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how many subscriptions they have
Yeah.
between home and work. I mean, it is insane.
Yep.
Lesley, what would you add?
Yeah, so we've done the same thing. On March 14th, I literally downloaded every bank statement and credit card from this year for personal and business, and I just started highlighting. And I basically said, is this a need or is this a want? And my kids were really upset because I cut Disney Plus, and supposedly there's some Star Wars thing that they're watching. Who cares? I was like, you can pay for it, and you can pay me. They're like, but it's only $6.99, and I'm like,
Doesn't matter. It's $100
but I'm
a
not
year.
paying. right? So we really went through like needs, wants personally and for our business. And we did this last year. And I loved our MAPS coach for this because last March, our expenses were getting out of hand because we had so much profit. We just started saying yes. And he told me on one MAPS call, he said, by next week, by our next call, you're going to cut 10% of your annual expenses. And I did it. And it didn't stop there. Like we just kept cutting. But one of the things that I'm most proud to tell you guys today is that we have been working on a command transition through the month of March. And as of April 1st, the Peters company is in command.
Whoa, I love that.
For
Congratulations.
$25 a month.
Yes. And literally that saves us at a minimum just up front, $12,000 a year. And I mean, there is a lot of grumbling going on our team because
You'll get over it.
Change, right? You love Follow Up Boss, and I love what Follow Up Boss did. And we have got to go all in for command. And it's going to be painful at first, and we're going to get through it, and it's going to be better on the other side. So a huge expense that we cut Follow Up Boss and Dot Loop. And just a heads up for anybody that has Dot Loop teams, know your renewal date, because we did not know our renewal date, and the renewal date was for an entire year for Dot Loop teams. So any big teams that you're using that, like, know it, because they tried to hold us through the contract for a year. So
you know what? Your kids and your team and your agents are all going to live, and they're all going to figure it out. This is just about, you gave them opportunities and they got complacent and kind of lazy. Not just your agent, mine's everybody. Like, it's easy when the market's really good to just like overlook. Gary said a long time ago, good markets conceal and bad markets reveal. And holy crap, it's so true. Like, it's so easy to spend an extra couple $1,000 here or there per month, per year, whatever it is. And you look up one day and you're like, I didn't even know I was being charged for that.
Yeah.
What is it?
And imagine if you took some of those funds and stuck them in a reserve account. You know, Bob Kalinske has preached to all of us in his Run Your Business Like a Business, and to our market center owners, to make sure you have reserves tucked away, enough expenses to cover 6 months of living. And
like 6 months. Yeah.
And maybe even more than that, but at the very least that. And most people don't do that. And it's really such a great strategy for removing stress when you're going through difficult times like this. We have a question here. People want to know who your coaches are.
I put mine in there.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Mine is Jordan Freed.
And we have actually 3 coaches that kind of pour into us. Gene Rivers has been our coach since 2014. Gene's like my real estate dad. I love him. I want to be Gene and Rebecca when we grow up. So love him. We also have 2 MAPS coaches. Craig Zuber is our director of sales coach, and Andy and I are also on that contract. And then we have a director of operations coach, which is his wife, Nicole Zuber, and she's awesome too.
Super. Thank you. Thank you. So,
Cheryl, one other thing that I think we mentioned really quick before we kind of got started on this is, like, I don't know how many people are on the call or how many people were in the business, you know, in the last shift, but I think that's a big piece to kind of note is, like, not that this is my second shift to go through, so it's not like I've been in the business forever, but I think there's probably 30 or 40 or 50% of the people on the call that probably didn't go through that last shift. And this one's going to be a lot worse than the last one. And not to scare people, because I think there's a fine line, but you guys got to get your mind right and wake up every day like hungry and aggressive to figure it out. Somebody's going to get it. It's scary for my team to see some of the agents, you know, over half the agents on the team and the admin they weren't in their working professional career in 2007 or 8.
So true.
I just think that
it's going to look like work, right?
Yeah, a lot. I'm working more now, and I was texting with Andy, Lesley. I'm working more now, and I've always worked. I've always kind of been a workhorse. I feel like I'm working harder now and just kind of trudging through things. and we're getting good traction, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm working harder than I have been, and the purpose of building the team was to not work as hard, and I'm still cranking through it. It's just part of it.
Hey, you guys were both new agents one time. We've got a question that said, what advice would you give for new agents in going into this?
Yeah, go ahead, Lesley.
I think it's back to that adding value, right? Staying in touch, because I always tell people, like, if they don't use me as their agent, great. Can I be your number two? Can I just be your number two? Because we know that number one agent is going to screw up at some point. And then I rise to number one. And I feel like new agents think because they're new that everybody already has a real estate agent. And you've got to bring value to your people. Get out there, call them, market them, serve them, and they're going to remember you. They're going to remember who you were for them.
Amazed how many people don't have a real estate agent, even in the $1 million range, the $2 million range, that don't actually have a realtor. They've got a financial advisor, they've got a life insurance agent, a property and casualty. They've got everything in their life and they don't have a realtor. And it's the biggest transaction that they do. And so that part's always mind blowing for me. And it's funny, I started smiling when you said, can I be your second place realtor? The first 3 years I was in the business, that is the only script I used, because I knew, by looking, whether I knew that NAR statistics were right or wrong, I knew that like 85% of people were going to be getting out of the business at some point. And all it took was for their number one realtor to either screw something up or not respond in a timely manner. And shoot, I'll be your number two realtor all day long. Bring it, like all day. So the answer to that, I would just say, piggybacking on Lesley, go add value, go do Zoom calls right now. When I first got in the business, yes, we didn't have a pandemic, but I didn't have any money. I literally had $5,000 and I refused to ask my parents for any money. I was not going to do it. I was just like too much pride, whatever. I had Sunday fun days, and I basically did hot dogs and hamburgers and bring, BYOB if you want to bring a beer. And my add-on to that was bring a friend that I don't know so I can add to my database. I went and volunteered for events that my wife and I would have gone to, but I didn't have any money to pay for the entrance fee. So I volunteered for free and then got in it to the event for free. I went and sat on nonprofit boards. Like, I just was a professional networker. So when people tell me, hey, I'm new to the business, or I moved to a new town and I don't know anybody, frankly, BS. Like, there's a gazillion ways to meet people.
Oh, time's up. No.
In 2020. I'm just saying, there's too many ways to meet people these days. Like, there's meetups, there's all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yes, you're right, Josh. You're exactly right.
Well, Cheryl, I got to tell you, these guys are amazing. And one of the things about this series is we're excited to call it Thrive, because we believe if we put guys like you, Josh, and women like you, Lesley, in front of our agents, we're not only going to survive this market, we're going to thrive in this market. And you guys just have a wealth of information and knowledge. And I'd like to just, if you could leave us with your best advice going forward of how to thrive in this market. I want to be respectful of our time slot. Lesley, why don't you go first?
Yeah, it's not the strongest that always survive, and it's not the most intelligent that always survive. If we think about the human species, the most adaptable have survived.
That's great.
So for those of you that are just really high S and don't like change, just go for it. You have to be adaptable and do new things, and you're going to fail, and that's okay. Just fail forward and be adaptable.
I love it.
Great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm proof that you don't have to be the smartest. I can promise you that. So there's that. I think for me, I've been saying the same thing for 14 years. It's what I built my business on. It's just fundamentals. It's the basics. It wins in any business. Just go make contacts, whether it's phone calls, whether it's Facebook messages. Go. Half the battle is just showing up. Just show up and then add value. And Brett and Cheryl, I'm happy to send like my playbooks on client events or housewarming parties. Whatever we're doing, I'm happy to like send it to you guys. I probably ripped it off from somebody and tried to one up it anyway. So
anything you would like to share, send to us, and we will figure out how to share it with all of these participants that have spent 45 minutes with us this afternoon.
Yeah. Cheryl, I just feel honored to co-host this with you. We're going to do it every Wednesday at
Yep.
3:30 Eastern. And Josh, Lesley, you were
Thank you.
awesome. Thanks for being our
Thank
first.